woman to be wed today. Thank you so much. Give her a kiss, Dad. Perfect. You go shake hands. You kind of got to split the microphone, okay? Hello again, everyone, and welcome to today's celebration of love and partnership. Haley and Trevor would like me to thank each one of you for being here with them. You have been invited because you are their community. You're who have helped to create the amazing people that stand before you. You've all helped to carry them to this ceremony by gestures large and small. Maybe you walked with them in a time of need. Maybe you provided them care and comfort in good and bad times. Today, Haley and Trevor want you to know they are so grateful to have spent time with you. And today, they say thank you for being there then, and thank you for showing your support as they join together as husband and wife. When speaking of community, we know that there are some loved ones who are not present for today's celebration. Be they far in travels or left this earthly world, we know that they celebrate your love. So as we pause to remember them, I invite you to smile as you think of them. Haley and Trevor, today we'll talk about your commitment to each other and the love that you share in your partnership. And most importantly, you will declare your intention to be husband and wife by exchanging vows and rings. Today is indeed a celebration of all the moments in your lives that led you to this exact time. Some guests here may know your story, may have even shared in creating some of those wonderful memories that you have. Let us take a little trip down memory lane. It's important to pay tribute to your journey, to honor the life that you have been creating together. After all those days before today, well, those are the ones that led you to decide to marry each other, to decide that you are stronger together and that your future is indeed brighter with each other in it. You met just a few blocks from here, working together downtown at Digitas. It was a fast friendship. You first started seeing each other around the office, and then after work playing kickball and volleyball with coworkers. Your friendship was easy, and you were always happy to see each other. Then Trevor started asking things like, "Did you get a haircut?" Or, "How was the Taylor Swift concert last night?" Haley kind of looked at him a little weird after he asked about her hair, but couldn't resist talking about how much she loved Taylor Swift. Your friendship grew as you started to talk about things outside of work, like music, movies, and just life in general. In April that year, you went on your first date, walking hand in hand together down the DeQuinder Cut just a mile from here. You both walked slowly together into your new relationship and never looked back. It might have started when you first smiled at each other at work, but ever since that sunny spring day in April, you have been blending your lives, creating a joint union, an adventure to be had by the both of you. If you haven't heard the story of their engagement, it's a special one that many of you here may have actually shared with them. Near Christmas, almost 2 years ago, Trevor planned how he would propose to Haley. First, he texted Haley's mom and dad, Karen and Mark, and asked to have lunch with just the two of them. He asked for Haley's hand in marriage, and all Mark asked in return was that he goes fishing with him once in a while on his boat. Later that year, Trevor surprised Haley downtown Detroit in front of the Christmas tree at Campus Martius Park. Surrounded by family and friends from all over the country, Trevor got down on bended knee and asked Haley to marry him. She said yes, and they spent the evening celebrating their new engagement. And ever since then, you've made a home in Detroit and started your life together. Haley and Trevor, I invite you to take this moment to remember your love story. Those two big moments, your first date and getting engaged, but also all of the little ones in between. Those small details, the laughs and the smiles that have led you to stand in front of each other right now. So as we move forward with your ceremony, I invite you to live in the moment. Today you declare your love. Today you become husband and wife. So I get to ask, do you, Trevor, take Haley to be your wedded wife?
I do.
And do you, Haley, take Trevor to be your wedded husband?
I do.
Today you will exchange wedding vows. You will make promises to each other in regard to your future. But before you exchange those promises and vows, let us talk a moment about what a wedding ceremony truly is. The ceremony itself is ever-changing and evolving, including new and unique ideas. But at the center is this one ever-constant idea, that two people will declare their love. They will say that together they are so much more than apart. Let us pay honor to the path that led you to the decision to marry. I think the words of Robert Fulghum and the piece titled From Beginning to End lovingly describe today's celebration. You have known each other from that first glance of acquaintance to this point of commitment. At some point you decided to marry, and from that moment of yes to this moment of I do, you have been making promises and agreements in informal ways. All those conversations that were held riding in a car, over a meal, or during long walks. All the sentences that began with, when we're married, and continued with, I will, you will, and we will. Those late night talks that included someday, somehow, and maybe, and all those promises that are unspoken matters of the heart. All these common things and more are the real process of a wedding. The symbolic vows you're about to make are a way of saying to one another, you know all those things we've promised, hoped, and dreamed? Well, I meant it, every word. As you look at each other, remember this moment in time. Before this moment, you have been many things to each other. Companion, dancing partner, maybe even teacher. For you have learned much from one another in these last few years. Now you shall say a few words that take you across the threshold of life, and things will never quite be the same between you. Because after these vows, you can say to the world, this is my husband, and this is my wife. Now, before you exchange your vows, I'd like to remind you what you told me you love and admire about your partnership. Trevor and Haley, you told me that the basis of your relationship is that you are truly best friends, a team and partners first. You rarely disagree, and if you do, you are patient and understanding of the other's point of view. That for you, the not-so-great moments of life are better spent by each other's side. Your favorite part about your relationship is that it's fun and youthful, and that you're able to be spontaneous with each other. From the moment you started dating, there was never a doubt that you would be together forever. These ones are yours. You get to decide who goes first. Do it. All right.
Trevor, when we first met, I kept thinking what a great catch you were for someone. At the time, not knowing that I would end up being the lucky girl. You were handsome, funny, smart, and kind. I always thought really highly of you, and early on when we started seeing each other, I'd mention you to my mom. And I remember her saying, well, if he's so great, then why isn't he dating anyone? A fair point on her part, and I often teased you about that question. You said that you just hadn't met the right person yet. As I met your family and friends, I started to learn what kind of son, brother, and friend you are. And it confirmed everything that I already knew. I am so grateful that you chose me to love. From the early days of our relationship, where we were sending each other nonstop instant messages at work, to scheming how we could possibly afford to move into our dream apartment together later that fall. We spent a lot of time at Circa, Tony V's, and Northern Lights, laying the plans for what would be our future life in our calendar of fun, which we still update to this day. During these conversations, it was apparent that you would make certain sacrifices for us, whether it was time, money, or just effort, and that's when I knew how serious our relationship was. You've always said you love me for who I am, which is a line I think some people just say. But it is something that you've shown me time and time again. You've completely changed my perception of love and given me a deeper understanding to what it actually means. One of my favorite quotes is, "To love and be loved is to feel the sun from both sides." And it perfectly describes how I feel about us. Being with you is like an always sunny, 75-degree day with a light breeze, kind of like this one today, which is as close as perfect as it gets. I see how you love me and how you love our puppy Captain, and it fills my heart because I know what an amazing father you'll be. You've given me so much over just a few short years. I promised respect and loyalty for you in our marriage. Being in a relationship with you never felt like I was sacrificing or missing out on anything else. I know how lucky I am to be in love with my best friend, and I won't ever take that for granted. I promise that when life gets hard, which it inevitably will, I will turn to you and remember that we are a team. I'm certain we will make mistakes, as we have in the past, but I know that we will overcome them together and be better off for it. I promise a house full of love for ourselves and our children. I can promise vacations up north, late Sunday night trips to the ice cream shop right before it closes, and many days and nights spent watching both Xavier and Michigan basketball. Unfortunately, I cannot promise that Xavier will eventually make it to a Final Four. But I will be cheering them on with you nonetheless. I promise not to stop dreaming or adventuring, no matter how old we are, whether it is traveling to Paris and Greece for our honeymoon, which hopefully we get there, or just a quick day trip across the state. I know we'll spend the rest of our lives exploring the world. When we're old and gray, I will have lived a happy life because I have you by my side. Lastly, and most importantly, I promise to love you and to love all the things that you are.
Haley, you are the most beautiful person I've ever met, and I'm so incredibly lucky to stand here next to you today. I first told you I loved you 3 summers ago, and I've been thinking about this day ever since. Over the past 3.5 years, we've made so many memories. This morning, I gave you a box with 20 letters inside, and in each letter, I wrote about our most memorable times together, so we'll always remember how it all started and what brought us here today. One letter I wrote is about when I knew I wanted to be with you forever, all the way back in August of 2016.
I remember.
It was a warm night in northern Michigan. We had just spent the past few days exploring a world I never knew existed, a world you were so anxious to share with me. That night, we walked down the sidewalk through a small neighborhood. In one hand, you grasped mine, in the other, you held onto your shoes. You've always had such a playful spirit. As we waltzed down the sidewalk, we gazed into the night sky and saw a shooting star. I had never believed in superstition, but I believed that night. The smile on your face that night made me believe. I wished upon the star, and I wished as hard as I could. I wished that we would be together forever. In the other letters that I gave to you, I wrote about all of the stories that I'll always remember. I wrote about the time I knew I was falling in love with you, and the time I first said it to you. I wrote about all the fun we've had together, the songs we've sang, the sights we've seen, and the friendships we've made. I also wrote about all the challenges we've been through, and the way our love has grown, and the ways you've made me a better man. I wrote about the times with our families and how excited I am to join yours, for you to join mine, and for us to start our own. I wrote about how much I've learned to love you and how much I always will. And after today, we'll face the future together as one. We will care for each other and we will share with each other. We will be spontaneous. We'll explore the world with our friends, try new things, and lust for adventure. We'll find a place to call home, and I will be proud to be the best husband and the best father to our future children. And I promise to always write you more letters as we grow old together. I promise always and forever to be your warmth in the middle of Michigan winters and to bring you cold chocolate ice cream in the middle of Michigan summers.
And in the winter.
To hold your hand each spring and to walk slowly through the city with you, just like our first date. And to celebrate each September, another year of love, of memories, and the start of Michigan football season. I promise to love you and to love all the things that you are.
I offer you a short reading, Wild Awake by Hilary T. Smith. People are like cities. We all have alleys and gardens and secret rooftops and places where daisies sprout between the sidewalk cracks. But most of the time, all we let each other see is a postcard glimpse of a skyline or a polished square. Love lets you find those hidden places in another person, even the ones they didn't know were there, even the ones they wouldn't have thought to call beautiful themselves. As you stand here today, having just pledged your love to each other, remember, this is the continuation of your already amazing relationship. But also think of this as the beginning again. Kind of a refresh, a chance to start new. Shortly you will place a ring on each other's finger and again you will pledge your love. The hope is that when you look at your wedding rings, you remember the vows and words you exchanged today, the promises that you have made to each other, and that you smile, thinking of all the family and friends that shared this day with you. May we have the rings, please? Trevor, please place the ring on her finger and repeat after me. I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a sign that I choose you
as a sign that I choose you
to be my equal partner,
to be my equal partner,
my best friend,
my best friend,
today, tomorrow, and always.
today, tomorrow, and always.
And Haley, when you're ready, place the ring on his finger and repeat after me. I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a sign that I choose you
as a sign that I choose you
to be my equal partner
to be my equal partner
and my best friend
and my best friend
today, tomorrow,
today, tomorrow, and always.
In closing, I'd like to take these last few moments of your wedding ceremony and look out to all the family and friends that surround you because you are so loved today. And now as you look back to each other, take this moment in. You are getting married. In just a little bit, you'll be walking back down that aisle together and you'll be whisked away for hugs and photos. So right now, in the quiet anticipation of this moment, take just a second longer to recognize how much you truly love each other and all the possibilities your future together will bring. Trevor and Haley, without further ado, having witnessed your vows for marriage with all those who are here, I am so happy to pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Yep, and you can turn and face them. Friends and family, husband and wife, Mr. and Mrs. Trevor McCormick,